This video may contain explicit language and copious amounts of awesomeness that are not suitable for young children. This is your fair warning. There will also be spoilers in this commentary and in this review. That being said, if you are okay with this, welcome to Smog Reviews. My name is SmoggerMan, and today on Anime Reviews, Shuffle. Let's begin. The story starts off with a boy named Rin Tsuchimi, the man who could become a demon or a god. Well, to be more precise, he would become the king of the gods or the demons. You see, along a trip to school one day, there were two transfer students announced that were going to be coming in about a few or so days. And these transfer students appeared. Their names are Lysianthus, or Sia, the princess of the realm of the gods, and Narine, the princess of the realm of the demons. The only way to tell a demon or a god apart really is by looking at their ears. Gods have pointed ears, but they're shorter. They're like in the middle between human and demon ears. While demons have much, much, much larger ears, for whatever reason. Rin, at school one day, has the choice to become either king of the gods or king of the demons through marriage of the two kings' daughters, Sia and Narine. We will talk about those two much later on in the story. The main storyline isn't that Rin could become a king of the demons or king of the gods. That's what you originally think until you watch the rest of the show. But the show's mainly about Rin's love life and all these girls around him. It's a harem show. So it's gonna have, girls flaunting all over him, wanting his body, which they don't go into as much in this anime, but you know the point. And the story is literally just mainly about who Rin loves and his entire love life in general. It's really the best I can explain it, really. That's how the story starts off, that's how it ends. And in terms of ratings of how good the plot and the story is, I'd rate it low. It's alright for the genre that it's originally meant for, which is the harem genre. But in terms of anime all around, it's most certainly not the best that I've seen by far. And in terms of romance, it gets kind of confusing. Because in the beginning, you think he's gonna go with one of the girls from the demons or the gods world, like Narine or Sia. You think he's gonna go for one of them. And in fact, this show leads you along for a long time saying that he's gonna go with Sia. And then he doesn't. He goes with someone else completely. But in terms of rating between how good the plot is and how moving it is, it's moving. It's moving. But it's not satisfying moving. It's got good drama in it. It's got all the quirky stuff that I believe each anime needs. Unless it's, a full-on comedy, in which case you get what you get. That's the story and plot of Shuffle, in a nutshell. You want to get deeper into the storyline, then I'd say go watch it. Let's talk about some of the main characters, though. We'll start with Rin Tsuchimi. Despite him being sometimes the biggest idiot that I have ever seen in the world, with absolutely no common sense whatsoever, he's your typical male protagonist in a harem genre anime. For some reason, no matter how popular he is, he always gets the girls. There's girls flaunting all over him, and in this show particularly, most of them fell in love with him in their childhood. And they have not seen him since. The only two characters that have seen him since childhood are Asa and Kaede, and Kaede's known him longer. But anyway, Rin Tsuchimi, he's average. I think I've already said that. I'm gonna say it again. He's average at best. there's really not much to him besides that his characteristics, he's a very kind hearted guy. And they try and play him off as smart most of the time, but not like, nerdy smart. Like, he's good at everything and beats everybody in math competitions or science competitions. He can build robots with his mind. No, he's not like that. He's just a good character. We'll move on from Reen to the second most important character in this show, in my opinion, Asa. Now, I don't really know how to explain Asa without spoiling it, so before we even do anything else, I'm going to warn you one more time, all of you guys, I'm going to warn all the viewers one more time. There are spoilers in this commentary. I don't think I can explain it any better, besides there are spoilers in this commentary. So, again, listen at your own discretion. Asa Shigure is interesting. She brings a certain thing to the show where she's just full of life, and she brings so much energy to the show. Everyone loves Asa. Even her romantic rivals for Reen. And yes, she is a competitor for Reen's affections, if you haven't seen the show already. And if you're still listening to this, which I warned you. There's not really much to say about Asa, except she's basically Reen's love interest. By the end of the show, or about the last, I'd say 5 or 6 episodes, she becomes his main love. Of course. Even though I'm telling you this, I still think you should give it a chance. Watch it for what it is, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's just how it is, and I don't blame you for it, because at first I didn't really like it either. I like anime in general, and I just, I bursted into it on the scene, and I thought, why the hell not? I'll watch it. And then I wound up buying it because I liked it so much. But anyway, moving on to the next character. Let's talk about Sia, or Lysianthus. I am not sure of her last name. I don't think they go into it that much. But she, as I said earlier, is the princess of the gods. Her father is named Eustoma, I believe. And if I'm wrong, please tell me in the comments and, all that jazz. But Lysianthus is another really big competitor. At least I thought she was going to be a big competitor in the anime. She shows so much effort to get to Reen, where the other girls, they don't even try. But Sia, I like Sia the best, and I think Reen should have ended up with Sia because of her character in general. She is another fairly energetic character in the show, but she also has a deep backstory behind her. You want to know more about that? Please watch the show. But her character is so intriguing to look at. I'm not really sure how to explain it even, besides the fact that she's absolutely amazing, drop dead gorgeous to look at, my god. Moving on. Let's do Narine next. Narine is my least favorite out of the girls in this show. There's a reason behind that. It's because she expresses her love and affection for this main character, Reen, but she never follows through on anything. From what I could tell, she doesn't follow through on anything in the show at all, and it bothers. It bugs the living shit out of me. I can't stand Narine because she doesn't try like Sia does. Sia tries to get his affection, and she tries so hard. And Narine's just like, I'm going to confess my feelings to you, I'm going to say that I love you, I'm going to ask you if I can love you even more, and then I'm not going to do shit about it. That's Narine's character in a nutshell. That's all she does. I guess she's technically more of the shy person of this story. She's the one who's laid back. She's not emotionless like Primula is, but she's the one who's so laid back and so nervous about everything. She wants to make a good impression on the man that she loves. And sometimes she does. Sometimes she makes that connection with him. But other times, it's like she doesn't even try unless he comes to her. And it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. End of story. That's Narade. Let's move on to Kaide. Kaide Fuyo is her full name. She is Rain's childhood friend. And when I mean childhood, I assume they mean like before they were, like when they were born. But for the sake of being at least politically correct, we're gonna say that she's been his childhood friend since they were little kids. They're like family friends, I guess. But Kaide is a very complex character. In the beginning, she seems sweet and innocent. She seems so kind and she's so caring about this character. And through the entire anime, I've just been wondering why. Why was she like this? What was her point? What was her reasoning for even just taking care of him in general? Why does she bother? Because it doesn't seem like she loves him that much. It just seems like she cares about him and she wants to take care of him for no real apparent reason. And I could not get that through my head. I could not figure out why. That is until the last 6 episodes. I guess the story goes kind of like this. It goes, meet the two girls, Narane and Sia, develop a certain plot, introduce the characters, make them more noticeable. I don't know. And then it goes Sia, where they focus on Sia for a while. Then they focus on Narane a little bit, but not fully. And then they focus on Primula. Primula goes on for a little while. And I like her story best of all, but Primula goes on for a little while. And then it goes back to Narane, where you finally understand her complete story and why she doesn't try to show her affection to Rin. And then you go into the Asa and Kaide storylines, which they're crazy. They're fucking crazy. I can't even begin to explain how awkward they are. Kaide turns psychotic. That's the best way I can explain it. She turns into what is now commonly known as a yandere. Fucking yanderes. If you don't know what a yandere is, look it up. I don't feel like explaining it right now. But she goes psychotic. She turns into a psychopath. She has the creepiest little eyes. She has the creepiest smile. And she's like super fucking attached. She's so jealous of Asa for now being with Rin in the ending scenes. And for the next 3 or 4 episodes, it focuses on how much pain Kaide is in, and it just keeps going and going and going until the breaking point where Rin leaves the house, and that's where she falls apart. She also attacked Asa, but I think Rin leaving the house is kind of a bigger deal. But yeah, Kaide is a sweet and kind person in the beginning, and then when she goes further on into the story, you see her true side. You see her true character. And out of all the characters in this show, I think hers is the most honest and truthful out of all of them. She is one of my favorites. She may not have been my favorite for the person that Rin should have gotten together with, but I liked her. I liked her story. I liked hearing her background and how she tortured Rin and all that fantastic jazz. But anyway, that is Kaide Fuyo. Now, let's talk about Primula. Primula is the loli of this show, I want to say. She's the loli. She's the little tiny, little sister type figure who you see in a lot of harem animes that, they're just kind of there. In the visual novel, you were allowed to choose her route. Like, you could get together with her. But in the anime, they didn't even hint towards it at all. They didn't hint anywhere near it. Not a single step towards it. Which I'm glad, because I think Primula did better as an Emoto, or a little sister. I think she did really good as that character. Her character is also one that may not be as deep as Kaide's or Sia's, but her character is deep. Her character is down there with these other characters, and I can't begin to stress enough how much I like Primula too. In the beginning, she seems emotionless. She seems like she doesn't smile. She doesn't put an expression on her face. She doesn't care about anything. And the only reason she came to the demon, not the demon, I'm sorry. The only reason she came to the human world in the first place was, of course, to meet Rin Tsuchimi, who she had heard about from Lysianthus and Narine. Mainly Narine. I don't know where I got the Sia thing from. She didn't hear from Sia. God! But anyway. Later on in the show, Primula starts to gain emotions, and I think by the 5th or 6th episode, Primula actually smiles. I know, you think that's pretty early in the show for her to smile, but it seemed like a very long time to get her to actually do anything that involved emotions. Which I'm really happy she did, because once she got into the emotional side, her character sort of died off a little bit. But then problems arose with her body, and her body, she can't control magic. She's an artificial life form. And I think the fact that they brought artificial life forms into this anime and in the visual novel itself is amazing. I love AIs, especially an AI that is human-like and can actually feel emotions. It's stellar. It's fantastic. While I really want to believe that in my head I really liked the visual art and the soundtrack, I cannot say that I do. The soundtrack was alright, and it set the mood for the specific atmosphere in the anime. But other than that, it doesn't do much else. It does little to satisfy me at all. Which is, it's kind of sad. The soundtrack is very repetitive. And the only part about the soundtrack that I liked was the opening. I'll just say it now. The opening is one of my favorite openings in anime I have ever heard. It is so catchy. It's so good. It sets the mood for the episode coming up. Whether it be really happy or really sad in general, it sets the mood perfectly, and I adore it. I absolutely adore it. There's not really much I can say about the soundtrack in general, just besides stating my own personal opinions, that I don't really much care for it. It's alright, but not my cup of tea, as I would say. It's not my cup of tea. The visual art is a whole nother ballpark. The visual art is really confusing at times. It changes, per se. It changes throughout the entire anime sometimes. Sometimes it'll be really highly detailed, like in the very emotional scenes between Rin and one of the girls, or it'll be really, really, really cheesy. Really poor quality, really awkward to look at. It kind of reminds me of chibi pictures, if you know what I mean. But not like, the actual chibi. It just reminds me of the art style. And it changes. It changes so much, and I can't get that out of my head. The fact that it changes. I don't like that in an anime. I don't like when the visuals change. 1 minute, there will be very smooth, high-resolution quality in the pictures and in the drawings, and then all of a sudden the animation will go berserk, and it'll turn either really, really, really detailed, or it'll be really, really, really cruddy. that's just my opinions about the visual arts and the soundtrack. The opening is one of the best openings I've ever heard. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it. Unfortunately, I cannot name it off the top of my head what it is called, but I will put that down in the description for you all to look at. Because I believe the opening is one of the best parts of the show in general. It's just delightful. The ending, maybe not so much. That's where the chibis start to come in too. But the opening, you should definitely take a look at it. Now, let's talk about what most of anime fans that I have come across have run into as an issue for them, which is the concept of dubbed versus subbed. I have watched both for this show quite intensely, and if I had to say between the two, I'd go with dubbed. Dubbed just feels more natural to me. It feels more energetic. It feels like it fits the characters better than the sub version, which the subs are kind of bland in the first place. But throughout the show, they're like a monotone robot thing. They just stay the same, and that bothers the crap out of me. I cannot stand it. Which is why I don't like the subbed. And believe me, usually I go for the subbed. But there are a few anime where I'm gonna vote for the dub, and in this anime, I gotta go with the dub. The dub is great. The voices fit each individual character perfectly. It's stellar. If you can find both, I'd say experiment with both. See which one you like, and comment below. You can tell me which one you like. I'll listen, believe me. And if you think one is better than the other, please, by all means, share it with me. I may not go into a big, whole argument about dubbed or subbed, which one is better than the other, but I will do my best to answer your questions. Moving on to the overall rating of the show. Putting all of what I've talked about together, story and plot, visual art and soundtrack, plus characters, and dubbed versus subbed, which doesn't really matter, I'd have to rate this overall anime a 6 out of 10, saying that I will recommend it for harem genre fans or romance novel fans. However, if you're more into the drama part of it, I wouldn't recommend buying it. I would recommend streaming it. Finding it online somewhere and streaming it would probably be your best option. If you like it and you want to buy it, then by all means. I mean, I own it too. So, if you like it, then you like it. That's just how it is. For recommendations, the two recommendations that I would have to go along for this would be another harem genre type, maybe not with as strong characters as this one, but if you liked this one, I'd say go for The World God Only Knows, and if you want to get a more dramatic side of this show, I'd go with Canon. Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. If you liked it, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button down below. If you have any recommendations or reviews about that you would like me to do next, please comment in the comments below. Thank you guys, and I will see you all in the next anime review. Toodaloo!